Welcome to this video on emailing out of Business Central. So in the last couple of major releases of Business Central, we've seen some significant enhancements to the emailing functionality and capabilities. So this video is going to be going over those new enhancements and how we configure those new features within the system. Currently in Business Central, all emails used to go via the account we had set in SMTP Mail Setup. So this was a global setting where we put in an email address in here, and all notifications and anything email related out of the system went via this email address. Now that was quite restrictive, and obviously customers needed a more flexible way of being able to send emails out of the system. So Microsoft has added in two new email features. So if I go to email accounts now in Business Central, and I do a new one, add an email account, it's going to show me the three types of email accounts we can add. So SMTP is the one that I've shown you before from the SMTP mail setup. Now I believe this is being phased out and it's a bit of a legacy feature, and eventually all mailing will be moved to one of these two email types. So we've got Microsoft 365 shared mailboxes. So these are typically set up by your Office 365 administrator, and they're normally around departments within a business. So you tend to have like a finance shared mailbox, a sales one, and things like that. Or the second option is current user. That one's quite self-explanatory. That's the user that's currently signed into the system. So I'm signed in here as mod administrator. So all emails that I send out here that have got the right email scenarios on will go via me. Or if I had it set up as a shared mailbox, I could have this as sales@contoso.com, and I could then put some email scenarios against that every sales document goes by that shared mailbox. So it's not just reliant on my email address and my inbox to sort of capture the responses to that. So the first one I'll set up is the current user. I'll select current user here. I'm going to untick set as default, because what this essentially do is if it can't find an email scenario assigned against a particular account type, it'll use this email address as the default. Now I don't want all emails out of the system as a default going by my user email address, so I'm just going to set that for now as just for my current user. Now once I've done that, I can either do send test email, and I'm going to send it to myself, just check that's all up and running. Test email has been sent, so we'll wait for that to come through. Just go to my mailbox here. You can see that test email's come through. That all seems to be working, so that's good. Now the second thing I can do is assign email scenarios. So let me click into here. Now against current user, which is me, I can add in scenarios here where I want this email address to be used. So I could say for anything related to sales, so I could say all sales related things I want to go via my current user, so my personal email address. Click OK on that. Anytime I go sales, send a sales credit memo, invoice, order or quote, it'll go via my current user. Now we could then set up a secondary mailbox in here, so I'm going to do add email account, do next, and do a Microsoft 365 shared mailbox, and here I call it finance, and do finance@contoso.com, and do next on that. Now I am going to set that as default. Now anything that isn't set up with a email scenario anywhere where we haven't captured email setup, it'll use finance@contoso as the default. I'll do finish on there. Now again, against this I'm going to do email scenarios, and you can see I've got finance here, so we've got current user with those against it, and then finance. So I'm going to assign scenarios here, and this time I'm going to do anything that I think is finance related. So even though we've got it set as a default, I still want to select the areas that I do want it to go. So finance charge, customer statements, I could even, if I wanted to, have things like vendor remittance go via there. Say OK to that. Now anytime I was to send out a custom statement, finance charge remittance, that'd go via finance@contoso. Anytime I was to send out sales credit memo, invoice, order or quotes, it'd go via my login email address. So now I'm going to try and send out a sales related document from Business Central to see which email address it's picking up. Before I do that, I'm going to go to one of my customers. I'm going to go to trade research. And against these, we have something called a document sending profile. So this is how you preferably want to contact this customer. So I'm going to create a new one in here. When I create a new one, so I'm going to call this one email no prompts. And at this point I'm going to say, right, I want to email it yes, but just use default settings. So I want to prompt me for the settings. So it's going to email the attachment as PDF without asking me anything. Now I'm going to create another one, which is called email prompt. And this one, when I select email, say yes prompt for settings, and that'll ask me every time I go to send an email whether I'm sending it to the right person. So let me just select this one as email no prompts. I'll just set the email address against its user to be my inbox, just so we can just see it coming through. So when I send anything sales related to tray research, it should just email it out from my account as a current user without any prompts. And if I change one on this customer, and I'll set their document sending profile to email prompt, then when I send the email for sales invoice for these two customers, I should get different results. So my two customers I changed there were Adatum and Tray Research. So Adatum was the one that should prompt us before it sends out an email. If I gave that document sending profile of prompting. So I come into here and do print and send. It's going to tell me the document sending profile it's picked up. So it's the one where it says email yes prompt settings. So I'm going to just say OK to that. It's going to bring up this preview box. And I can see here it's going from me, because that's what I set up in the email scenarios. It's going to that email address, because that's the email address that was set up against that customer, and this is the email body that's going to go with it. So if I just do OK and send on that, I send the email, that email's now gone, so I can go, because this isn't, I don't know where this email's going to, what I can do is go to email, sent email, sorry. If I want confirmation that email's got to Robert, and I can come in here and see I've got an invoice here. If I click on that, it's going to say, yeah, sent to Robert Towns, and if he says he didn't receive it, I can do resend here, or I can even do edit and send. At this point, if he was out of office and want me to send to somebody else, I could then put another email address in here and send it again. Now, just discard that. Now for the other customer, I told it to not prompt us, so it should just send us, just to send an email out. So let's look at that one. So that's for Tray Research. So any invoice I pick for Tray Research now, if I was to do print and then send, it's again showing me the document sending profile it's going to pick up. So email yes, use default settings. So when I click OK on this, I won't get the preview I got last time. It's just going to send that email out. Now again, if I go to send emails, see that one's gone, and because I can see that one's gone to Helen Rain, it's from me because I'm the current user, and that's sent without us being prompted. So the final setup to check is the finance email account that I set up, and check that documents go in from that email scenario going via finance@contoso.com. So if I have a look which scenarios I set against this email address, you can see I had posted vendor remittance on here. So let's try and send a posted vendor remittance and check which email address it goes from. So if I go to vendor ledger entries against vendor number 1000, because I've set a document sending profile against Fabricam as email with prompt. So same as I was doing on the customer side. So here when I do send remittance advice, it should pop up with the document sending profile, that prompts for settings. If I say OK to that, you can see here that it's going via finance@contoso.com. So it's picking up that email scenario I defined against finance@contoso. So when I try and send a vendor remittance advice to Fabricam, it's going to go via finance@contoso, and this is the email address. There is no email body on this one because there hasn't been one set. And I'm going to do a separate video on how we can create our own email bodies in Word and assign them against different layouts.